Okay, so the function f of x equals 3 over x, it went over 1, up 3. 1, 3, 3, 1, negative 1, negative 3, negative 3, negative 1. What do you think this graph is going to do? Do you think the asymptotes are going to be any different? Without touching our calculator, let's see if we can guess, and then look at our graph.
Is he the
It's probably gonna be
Over 4, or up 1 over.
That's why it doesn't hit it.
4.
Say it again.
Over 104.
Over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4.
Over 4 up 1.
Yep, you got it.
Not over negative 1 either.
Over 1, down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, are these the only 4 points? No, there's more. But this is just us sketching a graph of this function. We have an idea, we've got a few points. Now, are there more solid integers? Yes. For example, here is 1. How do I know that 2, 2 is a point? Because if I were to plug 2 in here for x, what comes out? What's 4 over 2?
1/2.
2. 4 over 2. And if I were to plug negative 2 in here, over 2, and this would be negative 2. So I'm not saying that 1, 4, 4, 1, negative 4, and negative 4, negative 1 are the only points. There are more. But these are the integers that I want you to know. The 1, 4, 4, 1, and so forth. Did anyone type this in their calculator and verify? Did anyone verify that, did it work? It sure did, okay. What do you think this next one's gonna be without touching our calculator? Let's wean ourselves off this calculator. Where are the asymptotes? X equals 0 and y equals 0. And can you give me 4 rock solid points? What are the 4 points?
1, 5, 5, 1, negative 1, negative 5, 5,
Yep.
negative 5, negative 1.
Thank you, Travis. Now, how do I know, without using a calculator, is this thing going like down here? Is it, how is it coming, how is it connecting from this point to this point? What could you possibly do? You could put a number in between 1 and 5, like 2. If you put a 2 in here, what do you get? Over 2, it's gonna be
Up 3.
2.5. So technically that is the middle point right there. It should have been like going down like that. The more points you pick, the more accurate your graph is. But I'm looking for these 4 points. These 4 points. Now, can someone compare this equation to this equation? What's different?
The negative.
What do you think? Where do you think the 2 boomerangs are going to be?
In the
Quadrant
different
2 and
1
4.
1 and 4?
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
2
Lauren said it, 2 and 4.
2.
So can you verify it?
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do? You're going to type in. I want you to type it in. Negative 5 over x. And let's see if we were right. Yep, we're in quadrant 2 and 4. If you want to look at your table, Control T. What points do you have? Well, let's put our asymptotes in first. And now instead of going over 1, up 5, we're gonna go left 1 and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a point. You're gonna go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1. Here's one boomerang. And then the other one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now, let's talk about domain and range for a minute. On all of these, your domain, what does domain mean? What's the domain? It's the what values? What are these numbers right here? Your x values. Your domain is your x values. Can we plug any number we want into this equation?
No,
No. What number can't we plug in?
anything greater than,
You can plug any number in the world except 0. Why? Why can't you put in a 0 here?
That'll be
Why
fine.
was it when you looked at your table of values and you saw 0, you saw this undefined? Why? Why do we have this broken line here? Why are these two boomerangs broken? Why can't I cross this line right here? What's the reason? You can't have what? You have a fraction. What can't you have in the denominator of a fraction?
a zero.
A 0. So we cannot have a 0 here, or in this case, we can't have a 0 on the x-axis also. So your y-axis and your x-axis cannot be touched. They're undefined. Now I want you to flip this over, and I want you to describe what you see now. What's different about these equations? These are still called reciprocal functions. What did we add to these equations? What's added?
Plus one.
I heard plus 1. So if I take this out right here,
And the minus two.
and that, very good observation. So, what these two numbers are going to change your graph. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to move your vertical and horizontal asymptotes. So I want you to type this in your calculator and tell me what you see. So we're going to type in 3 over x minus 2. Bump yourself out and then plus 1. And hit graph. Now, if I were to construct the asymptote, can you tell me where it's at? Trying to help you here. Where is the asymptote? Where's the vertical asymptote? What number is this right here?
One.
1, but
If I were to construct, there's an imaginary line right there. I got a
Two?
string.
Wouldn't it be the two?
Oh, yes. Why 2? Where do you think
It's
2
next
came
to the
from?
X.
Right here. If you were to take this fraction right here, this denominator, x minus 2, if you were to look at this very closely and say, what number can't we have in the denominator of a fraction? 0. Well, what number would x be to give us a 0? 2. So we have our new vertical asymptote is at x equals 2. So your vertical asymptote is found by taking this little piece right here, setting it equal to 0, and solving. So what is x? X is 2. So our domain, which comes from this, is going to be all real numbers except we can never have a 2 there. Why is 2 a dangerous number? Because that's going to generate a 0 in the denominator. So this little piece right here is going to shift your vertical asymptote 2 units to the right. This little piece right here is gonna shift your horizontal asymptote up 1 unit. That is your horizontal asymptote, y equals 1. So your range is gonna be all real numbers except y cannot be 1. So we have 2 new asymptotes at +2 and at 1. That's the hard part, right there. Was that hard?
No.
Okay, now, what do you think you're gonna do with this 3? Think of this as your new origin. So from here, you're gonna go over 1 and up,
3,
yep,
over 3.
over 3 and up 1. And draw your graph. And where do you think you're gonna go to put your boomerang in this quadrant? From here, you're gonna go over 1, down 3,
Over 3, down 1.
over 3, down 1. Now, if you don't believe me, see if these points are on, look at your table, now that you have it graphed. What ordered pair is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is 3, 4 on in your table? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Let's check this out, let's see if we're right. Then this ordered pair is 1, -2. And this ordered pair is -1, 0. Let's see, are we right?
Yes.
There's my graph. Control T. Well, there's 1, -2, so far so good. Here's 3, 4,
5,
is 5, 2.
2. Yeah.
Look at how smart we are. So it worked. All right, let's keep going. Here's a new equation. How are we gonna get the vertical asymptote?
Is that equal to 0?
And so what is your vertical asymptote?
-2?
Yeah, now, what I want you guys to be careful with, a vertical asymptote is an equation. It's x equals. So, for those of you that put -2 on that blank, you're half right. You need to write x equals -2. Okay? I wanna correct that right now. So does everyone have x equals -2?
Yeah.
And what's your range gonna be, or your horizontal asymptote? Y equals -4. Not -4. This is negative, this is the opposite, this one's the same. So your domain is gonna be all real numbers except -2. X can't be -2. And your range is all real numbers. Y cannot be 4. How are you gonna sketch this graph? What are you gonna do? At -2, we're gonna have a broken line. And at 4, and can you tell me where do I go from there? From here, you're gonna go over 1, up 2, over 2, up 1. And then over 1, down 2. So we're just sketching a graph. This is the reciprocal function. Anyone lost? Okay, try the next one on your own. Travis, are we okay on the screen?
Yeah.
Is that a plus sign or a subtraction sign for four?
Oh, you know what? I thought, here it looks like a plus sign.
Yeah, I think there's just a smudge on it.
You know what?
That's
You're
where I got
right.
the negative from.
Okay, I made it a plus sign in my, I thought it was a plus sign. So, did anyone think that was a minus?
I already knew it was.
Is it a minus?
Yeah, it's a minus.
So then it should have been down 4. So if it's, let me redo that one.
We understand.
Yeah,
what we-
for some reason I look at, from where I'm standing, it looks like a plus sign.
Looks like it was.
So if this is a minus sign, and that's this is gonna be x equals -2, and this would be y equals -4.
Yeah, I do, I think it's graduate.
Did I mess that up?
Why don't you choose
So x is equal to -2, y is equal to -4. This is the correct answer, and up 1 over 1 up 2. Is that better? That's what your graph should look like. And again, your domain would be all real numbers, x cannot be -2. All real numbers, y cannot be -4. Okay, how about this one right here? Help me out. This says +2, so what's your vertical asymptote?
So the horizontal isotope doesn't change?
The horizontal asymptote does not change, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's a -4. In what quadrants are you gonna be in? If this is positive, it's gonna be in quadrant 1 and 3. If it were negative, it would be in 2 and 4. So from here, you're gonna go over 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 1. What do you think? Easy? So does everyone understand, if I were to put a -3 here, where would you have been
Other way.
in these 2 quadrants, okay?
What do we do for the table?
You don't, I put it there if you need it, if you want it, that's fine.
Alright.
Your domain should be all real numbers, x cannot be -2. All real numbers, y cannot be -4. Now, I tried to trick you on this one to see if you can do that one.
Wouldn't it just be +1 on that?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
What is your vertical asymptote?
Isn't it 0?
Good job. And what's your horizontal asymptote? So, we have our vertical asymptote is still the line x equals 0, like on the front page, and y equals -3. And where am I gonna go from here? From here, you're gonna go over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Duke, do you wanna add anything to those ones? You good?
Oh, yeah.
So what if this were a -4? You would have gone over 1, up 4, over 4, up 1, you'd be in these 2 quadrants. Okay? So what I want you to do for homework is I have another worksheet, it looks very similar to this. I wanna see, it's called homework number 1. I wanna see if you can do these. Do you need the table? No, you don't.
How many columns?